The art of letting go. Why it's important to let things go, especially things that's no longer serving you. You know, these things that's no longer serving you that you're holding on to, whether it could be people, places, things, mindsets, they're like baggage. It's like an anchor holding you down and holding you back and slowing up your progress from what you could be, where you could go, things you could have, new mindsets that could get you further, mindsets that could get you to places that you want to be. If you are scared to let go, look at all the things that you're holding on to. And once you look at all the things that you're holding on to, ask yourself, is it really serving me for where I want to be? Is it really serving my higher being? Let's say if you're a person looking for a healthy relationship, you start asking yourself, is the person I'm with now, the connection I'm in, serving my highest good, serving my highest being? Is this relationship taking hold or taking form of something that um, I want? And this could be current, or say, for instance, it could be the same for if it's a past relationship and you have a hard time letting go. Was that past relationship or that past person I was with a resemblance of something that I truly want in my life, of something that I believe I can gain positive outcomes from in my life? If the answer is no, or if you find yourself pouring too much into that situation, then you have to let go. And the reason why you're letting go is because you're letting go of that anchor, you're letting go of that baggage in order to receive what you truly want. I personally believe a lot of times the reason why people have a hard time of letting go of things is because they're scared of what's on the other side. But I heard a good quote from a good friend of mine, and I've also believed this too, is that what you want is on the other side of fear. So a lot of times, like I said, we're afraid of letting go because we don't know what's on the other side. You know, we're accustomed and we're comfortable with the devil we do know, but what about the devil you don't know? And who's to say that the thing that's on the other side is even a devil? It could be an angel. But I digress. I'm saying that to say this. What I'm saying is that it's very important to let go. Because when you let go, you're allowing the universe, you're allowing God, you're allowing whatever powers that be that you believe in, and you're telling it that you have faith in it to bring in what you truly want. And you're telling the universe that the cards that you were dealt or the cards that you chose no longer serve you. And you want something new. You know, you can do that with the universe. You can do that. But like I said, a lot of people don't get to that level because they're afraid of letting go. Like, honestly, what if I told you that if you let go of something that you believe you wanted, or you let go of something that you thought this was the best that you could do? What if I told you if you let that go and the universe brought something in, would you let go? A lot of people would say yes. Well, that's really what happens. But having faith is the biggest part of letting go. And that's why people don't let go, is they don't have faith. Either they don't have faith in the universe, or they don't have, they don't really trust in their higher, their higher being, whether it be God, the universe, or whoever people believe in, said people believe in. They don't really have real faith. That's why people can't let go. They don't have real faith that it's possible for them to be in that perfect relationship. Well, perfect enough for them. Perfect for them. Let me put it like that. Because nothing's perfect, but perfect. Something could be perfect for you. But people don't have faith that they can have that job that identifies with them, that lifestyle that identifies with them, a friend circle that identifies with them. A lot of people don't believe this. That's why they stay in the same old toxic patterns, the same toxic cycles, doing the same things over and over and over. Because they're afraid to let go, because they don't have faith that God, universe, whoever they believe in, can bring in something worth them truly having. They don't believe these things. I'm not going to say it's sad, because I'm at a different point of my spiritual journey where I can recognize certain things and I know certain things and I have certain faith. I've developed certain faith. But having faith and letting go, it's like a muscle. And if people haven't practiced that muscle, if they haven't practiced that skill, it's just like going to the gym. How can you expect them to perform? You know, if somebody's never squatted or bench pressed, how can you expect them to squat or bench press? You know, when that time is needed, you can't expect them to. So it's the same thing with this said, having strength and letting go, and having strength and faith. A lot of people say they have faith until it's tested. Again, a lot of people say they have faith until it's tested. Until they find themselves with their back against the wall in the situation that they don't like. And now they're forced to either have faith or continue. Then that's when it comes about. But generally, when they have free will to have faith, to exercise that faith of letting something go, they don't do it. So I advise people this: don't get to the point where you have to test the universe or your back is against the wall for you to start building faith. Don't get to that point. You know, it's almost like, back to the gym analogy, don't wait to the point where your doctor says you have to start getting into the gym or else your health is at risk, your life is at risk. Don't wait to that point to start getting into the gym. Because if you wait to that point to start getting into the gym, you're behind the 8 ball. You know, now you're running for your life. You know, versus you casually going to the gym and taking it slow. Now you're in overdrive. So it's the same thing with having faith, developing new faith when you haven't had it before. Now you're in overdrive. Now you're trying to throw all your eggs in this basket versus just casually letting things happen. You know, now your back is against the wall of throwing everything up and saying, I have to have faith, instead of just casually letting things slide. I hope this is coming across to people. But that's why it's important to always practice faith. When you practice faith, it's easier for you to let go. Because when you lean more and more and more into faith, first it comes your intuition. And then when you have your intuition, once your intuition bells start ringing about something, that's when you know it's time to let something go. When you've been thinking about something and your intuition starts ringing, that's when it's time for you to let things, or start analyzing, start analyzing what in your life may be holding you back from where you want to go. Once you've checked off those boxes, that's when faith kicks in, and you're telling yourself, okay, I've gotten intuition, I've gotten downloads of what I need to do, I've gotten downloads of what I need to do, and now I'm putting my faith in the universe, faith in God, that these changes that I'm going to make will be for my best good. And that's how it goes about. But a lot of times people get those intuitive feelings and they ignore them. And that's what comes back to haunt them, is they knew they should have done X, Y, Z and they didn't because they were scared. They were scared of leaving these people behind, and they were scared of doing something new. They were scared of having a new mindset. They were scared of having to relearn something, you know. So due to that fear, guess what? They just continued on. But like I said, never get to that point to where your back is against the wall. Because now when your back is against the wall, that's when people start to do things like curse God. You know? Because now they have to have this super abundance amount of faith. And who knows how far you've gotten along to where you may have extra work you need to do besides just have faith. You know? It's just like I said, it goes back to that analogy of somebody working out for the first time because their doctor said you have to start working out. If that progress doesn't come fast enough, those people might up and quit the gym because that progress didn't come fast enough. And they might say, oh, this gym thing is baloney. You know it's fake. Diet is fake. All this is fake. Da 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 da. Because that progress didn't come as fast as they needed it to. Because they don't know how that process works. See? But if you always put yourself in faith, you always practice faith, you always practice intuition when it's time to let things go, because we're talking about letting go and bringing new patterns and things of that sort. When you always practice these things, you know how it works. You know that you have to release and let things, play out as it is. And you know that the way it's playing out is for your best good. So you're comfortable in it and you're allowing it to happen. You're allowing it to take form. But like I said, when you're not used to these things, guess what happens? You start rushing the process. You don't have full faith because you've never been down that road before, so you don't know how things go. You don't know how things take place. So now you quit prematurely. You see? Like I said, that person in the gym, they quit the gym prematurely because they don't know it may take a week before you start seeing actual progress, Or these things may start hurting. Lifting weights might hurt until your body becomes accustomed to it. And now you start building muscle. And now that extra 2 weeks that you may have needed to become acclimated to start changing your life, you gave up on it because you didn't have faith and you didn't know the progress. You didn't have faith and you didn't know the process. So now that you gave up on it, you're back at square one, doing all the things that landed you where you were. So just like when you let go of people, if you don't go through the process and say, okay, when I let these people go, I'm going to feel lonely. I'm going to feel these things. I'm going to do this. It's going to be by myself. Da 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 da. But I know on the other side of that, I'm going to have the people that I want to have. I'm going to have the people that I'm going to need. I'm going to have this. So when you know that process that happens when you let people go, it's easier in the times of loneliness. You see? It's easier in these times because you know the process. Now, what also goes along with the art of letting go is practicing non-attachment. And when you practice this art of non-attachment, it's much, much easier for you to even let things go because you're not attached to it, literally. It's literally what it says. It's non-attachment. When you're attached to certain things, you give it a special place in your life. You give it a special place in how you do things, how you maneuver, how you think, even people. When you attach yourself to these people and start giving them labels and things of that sort, when you start attaching yourself to these people, these mindsets, that, let's say, for instance, you may be a vegan, so you attach yourself as being a vegan, or you're a carnivore, so you attach yourself as being a carnivore, or you're a person who loves cakes, so you say you have a sweet tooth type personality, or whatever the case may be. Once you start attaching yourself to these ideologies, you're giving them space in your personality. You're giving them space in who you are. So you must be very careful of how you attach yourself to things. Because one day you may have to detach yourself from these things. Again, be careful how you attach yourself to things because one day you may have to detach yourself from these things. So, now that you hear this, at whatever time that you start aligning yourself with certain things, ensure that the things that you're aligning yourself with is something that's going to move you forward in a healthy manner. Because it's always easier to detach yourself from things that are healthy to attach yourself to things that are even more healthy. just generally because of the frequency those things are on and how you move when you're doing those things, it's much easier. So let me put it like this. If you're a person who, back to the dieting analogy, if you're a person who is vegan and you attach yourself as being a vegan because you want to live a healthier lifestyle, not necessarily because of certain things, but just because you want to live a healthier lifestyle of what you put into your body as far as food consumption. If you label yourself as a vegan, let's say for instance one day you read an article or you see something about that you see something about veganism, being a vegan, that you don't necessarily align with anymore, new research or something like that, or you find something else that's healthier for you at that time. It's going to be easier for you to let go of being that vegan and now attach yourself to something different because they're both in the realm of something positive. See, it's easy to attach and detach to something that's positive, or let's say it's easier to attach yourself and then reattach yourself to something that's positive than detach from something that's negative to detach yourself to something that's positive. That's just the way it goes. That's just life. What part of life and why that is, I can't necessarily tell you, but that's just how life goes. When you're detaching from something positive to attach yourself to something even more positive, it's much easier than detaching from something that's negative and attaching yourself to something that's positive. It may be because when you're on the spectrum of something positive, it's already on that frequency. So it's easier to let go and go even higher versus going from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum. Meaning, you're on one end of the spectrum of, one second, got a break. Meaning, it's hard. It's much harder when you're on the negative end of the spectrum, going all the way to the positive end, versus already being on the positive end and climbing up. Imagine if you're all the way on the left side of a building, and now you have to travel to the right side. It's a very daunting task, correct? But imagine if you're already on the right side, and you just have to go a couple more feet right. It's much easier. It's the same thing. That's why it's easier for you to detach from positive things and reattach yourself to something even more positive than detaching from something that's negative and try to attach yourself to something that's positive. So for anybody who's finding themselves in a negative situation or a bad situation or a situation that's not conducive to them already, you have to understand that it is going to be hard. It's not something easy. You're not used to this new realm of something positive. You're not used to this new frequency. You know, it's like you're a fish out of water. It's like you're a newborn. You're being born again. You're not used to it. So when you're in this new frequency, you have to learn how to walk. You have to learn how to talk, just like a baby, you know? Same thing. The baby went from being in the womb to now being outside of the womb. So now it has to acclimate. It's the same thing like you. You have to acclimate yourself now to this new environment. And the environment is this new frequency that you're on. That's why it's hard to let go for some people, because they see it so daunting that they have to travel across this frequency timeline to the other side. That's why it's hard for a lot of people to let go. That's why I firmly believe in that when something is for your highest good, you have to lay all your cards on the table. And you have to trust and believe. And you have to say, if I'm going down this path right now, I'm not going to get to where I want to go. I'm not going to be happy. Even though I'm not happy now, I'm going to be even more happy. And what happens if I take a risk, or I take the risk of changing this or changing that, and just having faith? What will happen then? I've always been like that. Let me take this risk. But I understand a lot of people haven't. And that's why a lot of people are afraid of letting certain things go because they've attached themselves to it, and this is all they know. This is what gave them their identity. Especially if you haven't had much before. This is what you believe, makes you you. So it's hard to let things go now to discover your identity. This is going to be the third point I'm going to embark on now. Is that but let me finish the second point. You must have this non-attachment. This non-attachment is what's going to allow you to raise frequencies and bring in new change immediately. Immediately, that's going to benefit you for the long run. Like I said, nobody said change is going to be easy because change is all a part of letting go. All this is a part of letting go. Nobody said change and letting go is going to be easy. Nobody said that. But what's on the other side of it not being easy is that you have the possibility of having and gaining and living the life that you want, having the things that you want. And to me, that is so much bigger. That's so much bigger. Being able to have the things that you want, the things that's going to move you forward, the people that's going to move you forward, the people that you can have in your life. Remember that and think that the next time that you find yourself in a state of, should I let something go? You should always think and remember, okay, I'm at this point right now and this is what I have, XYZ. And I don't want this XYZ anymore. This XYZ is not serving me, da 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 da. And if you put in your mind that if I let this go, I'm going to achieve what I want. You are going to achieve it. Not that you may. If you have faith that you are going to, it's much easier to move along. It was another good quote I heard. It goes like, when your perspective changes, things change. I'm not sure if I said it verbatim, but it was around that concept. When your perspective changes, or when you change your perspective, things change around you. And that goes hand in hand with the art of letting go. Meaning, when you see something one way, you see your life one way. And when you change your perspective, so say for instance, you're hanging out with a group of people who don't serve your highest being, Let's say for instance, you want to be a millionaire and you're hanging around a bunch of broke people. If you put in your and now you start identifying yourself. Let me finish this. You want to be a millionaire, you're hanging out with broke people, and you want to identify yourself as being a millionaire. But right now you currently identify yourself as being broke. If you change your perspective of who you are now and start saying, I'm not this broke person, I am a millionaire, and you start living in that, what happens is those things around you will start disappearing from you, whether voluntarily or involuntarily. Involuntarily meaning that they left because they couldn't stay in that frequency that you are now in. Well, I'm sorry. That'll be they voluntarily left, and involuntarily, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. Let me go back. Those things voluntarily left your life because they were no longer able to stay on that frequency that you're in. And the rest of the things you had to involuntarily leave, or purposely leave, but involuntarily they had to go because you knew that you couldn't keep those things around and vibrate on that frequency. So either way, those things are no longer here. Whether you forced them out or they left because they could no longer hang. You see? This all happens when you take that step towards letting go and you change your perspective. I believe that's a big thing in the art of letting go. is that once you let go, or before you can fully let go, you have to change your perspective. Even in the process of letting go, you have to change your perspective. You know, you see yourself as, let's say for instance, somebody who used to do street pharmaceuticals, used to sell street pharmaceuticals, and they built themselves on this identity of, and this is the third bullet point I'm going into, is identity, and how letting go is hard for people sometimes because they built their identity on these things. And this all plays in hand with perspective. And but I continue. Somebody who, you know, still sells street pharmaceuticals. If this person has identified themselves as a street pharmacist, it's going to be much harder for them to let go. Number one, they've built their identity around being a street pharmacist. So the people that they have around them, things that they have around them, all this identifies with them being a street pharmacist. So if all you've been known as a street pharmacist, you don't know yourself as anything else. That's what makes it so much harder. It's because now you're an infant. Once you let go, you have to go back to the infancy stage. You know, that's hard for some people. Going back to the infancy stage, that's very, very hard. You know, imagine you being grown and now you have to learn how to walk and talk and maneuver and all these things. That's why it's hard for people to let go, because they've identified and built their life around these attachments. That's why it's so much harder. Once you build your life around these attachments. So back to the street pharmaceutical guy, he knows that this life is not leading him to where he wants to be, or he's tired of it. But this is who he is, in a sense. He's built up who he is. He's attached himself to this profession. And the things that he's gotten from this profession. That's why it's so much harder for certain people who attach themselves to things to let go. But when you're in these positions, you have to ask yourself, like I said before, what's greater? Staying in the position that you're in, receiving the same things that you've been receiving, or it could get worse. Meaning the street pharmaceutical guy can continue selling his street pharmaceuticals, but now he risks going to jail. He risks, someone causing harm to him. He risks, karma coming back to his loved ones for whatever he's put out. These are the things that he risks. So let me just tie it up and say, a lot of the reason why people are afraid of letting go is because they are fearful of what's on the other side. They're afraid of losing their identity. They're afraid of being uncomfortable to be comfortable again in a better position. You'll be surprised at how a lot of people will put up with things that don't serve them. Thoughts, people, places, ideologies, all these things. You'll be surprised at how people keep all these things because they're afraid of letting go. And people who've practiced letting go and know the benefits of letting go, they understand that letting go is just a part of life. You have to lose some to win some, That's one thing that we've always said. People have always said you have to lose some to win some. And that's what goes hand in hand with letting go. Some people are scared to lose some, so they never win some. And what is that win some? Win some peace, win something positive, win something beneficial. They're afraid to lose the negative mindset, the negative people, the negative, environments. They're afraid to lose some to win some. So remember, we shouldn't attach ourselves to anything. But in purpose of this video or this recording, if you want to attach yourself to anything, let it be something that's going to move you forward. Because it's always easier to detach yourself from something positive, to move even further positive, than detach yourself from something negative and move all the way across the spectrum to something positive. I hope this helps somebody today. It's your favorite cousin. I want y'all to be safe. Love and blessings.